Hey everybody, this is Fernando from the Rollback Podcast, and today it's somewhat of a special day, somewhat of a somewhat sad day. Today I am reviewing the movie Clerks 3. Now, for me, when I think of the underdog in film, when I think of the person that arrived to the party and shouldn't be here, I would say that person would be Kevin Smith. And I don't mean that as a slight to him. I don't mean that as something that negative. It's just he has always been different when it came to the idea of a filmmaker. For me, his movies always resonated with me, not because they're funny. I mean, they are obviously very funny movies, but because they have these simple yet complex characters, and they're extremely relatable because they are people that we meet on a daily basis. They are people that we meet in our everyday lives. And I always felt that he was able to do that very well. And for me, Clerks 2 more so than Clerks 1. Clerks 1 I love. It will always be a classic, but I remember as a kid, the first movie that I remember seeing the trailer a ton for was Clerks 2. And I remember watching it and absolutely losing my mind with laughter, and relating to these very dumb characters, but they're ever so lovable. And today, after a failed, the Clerks 3 was originally tried to put out a while back. But if I remember correctly, Jeff Anderson didn't want to come back as Randall Graves. I think he had a falling out with Kevin Smith, so he wasn't going to come back. I want to say in that version, Kevin Smith killed off his character and something like that, but it's never really... I don't really remember if all the details were leaked, because I remember that Kevin Smith did some sort of charity thing where one of the things he auctioned off was the original script for Clerks 3, and I think they did like a round table, a read aloud of the script. But yeah. So, Clerks 3, very simple premise. After surviving a heart attack, Randall Graves decides to make a movie with Dante Hicks about their lives at Quick Stop convenience store. Very simple, very to the point. This movie is not long. It's about an hour and a half. What I think is crazy about this movie is how much I knew. Well, I guess as things started happening. I'm not trying to give away huge spoilers. So the premise of Randall Graves' heart attack that you see in the trailer is based off of Kevin Smith's own experience with a heart attack. Except he had a heart attack after he filmed this comedy special. But everything that happens, it's pretty much beat for beat what happened with Kevin, because he had talked about it on every podcast out there, Joe Rogan especially. He talked about how the firemen came into his green room and they asked him, what is your, like, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much pain are you feeling? And he was like -3, and they're like, you're doing this wrong. But yeah, that... going to the hospital with the doctor who was like, I have to shave you and go up your groin. Um, the Widowmaker bit about, like, this would be a cool name for a villain. All stuff that had happened to Kevin Smith during his heart attack. So that was pretty funny. And yeah, like, that's the main premise. It's weird because it's Kevin Smith's heart attack that happened way in his life. He was in his late 40s. But the premise of the movie itself is pretty much a making of Clerks, because that's what Kevin Smith based Clerks off of. His job working at Quick Stop when he was working there. So it's very odd. Like, when I was thinking about it, I was just like, so it's a movie not so based on real life. But yeah, it very odd. But yes, so that's the premise. The cast is as follows: Brian O'Halloran as Dante Hicks, Jeff Anderson as Randall Graves. We have Rosario Dawson coming back as Becky. We have Trevor Furman coming back as Elias. We have Jason Mewes coming back as Jay. Kevin Smith as Silent Bob. Now, let's all talk about the elephant in the room. The thing that for me was just so distracting was Jay Mewes' new teeth. Like, I mean, I'm proud of him. I'm proud that Jay got clean. He has a wonderful life, wonderful family. But man, those teeth just do not match. Yeah, that one that almost stuck out to me the whole movie. So I saw this movie today at 7 p.m. Central Time. Right now it's 9:06, so this movie's so very fresh in my head. I don't want to give away spoilers, I really don't. So this might be a shorter podcast than what you are used to seeing. So yeah, I don't want to give away spoilers. I just want to let's start with first impressions. So the funniest part about this whole thing is that Eddie was supposed to go with me to go watch this movie, and then, like, 5 minutes to showtime, he messaged me saying, "Hey, I think you're gonna have to go without me. My car just died." And I was just like, that would happen. But yeah, so he didn't get a chance to see it. So yeah, let me give my first impressions. So if you've seen Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, you can tell that Kevin Smith has a particular filming style that is meant for his fans. Like, his fans will love it, and people who are not his fans might not. This movie was not filmed like Jay and Silent Bob Reboot or Yoga Hosers or Tusk. Like, this movie was shot like Clerks 2, which I liked. I thought that was very well done. This movie has a lot of heart. More heart than I would say most of Kevin Smith's movies have. Now, don't get me wrong, they all have a heart. They all have that one part where there's some sort of message, there's heart in this movie. But this movie, you can clearly tell that this movie is just all heart. And it is something that is very near and dear to him. And I agree. Like, this movie was really personal for him. And I think that this movie is really well done. Yeah, so first impressions. everyone blew me away in this movie. Brian O'Halloran as Hicks, Dante, and then Jason Anderson as Randall. So for those of you who don't know, in real life, Randall was supposed to be Kevin Smith when he was working at the Quick Stop, because he always had the best lines. So if you're ever wondering if there's any correlation between Randall and Kevin Smith, there it is. They do have a correlation, because Randall was always meant to be Kevin Smith. But other than that, yeah, everyone, the whole cast blew this movie apart in only the same way that they can. For me, the person that stole the show, I don't want to. No, I can't say that. Okay, the two people that stole the show are the leading actors, Brian O'Halloran, Jason or Jeff. I might be fucking that one up. Jeff Henderson, sorry. Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson as Dante and Randall. I'm so happy that Jeff came back for this movie and he was able to put this character away, because this is definitely a finality to the story of Clerks. So I'm happy he came back. I thought they both knocked this fucking movie out of the park. I'd say a hard tie for someone that stole this movie is the guy who played Elias. He was so good in this movie. He was so fucking funny. Trevor Furman was fucking hilarious. There's a part in the trailer where they're in the hospital waiting to see if Randall will be okay, and Elias starts renouncing his Christianity and becomes a Satanist. And just the things that he does throughout this movie, you cannot help but just bust out laughing. He is so fucking funny, man. Like, it's crazy. But yes, he is definitely up there with Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. They all do superb jobs. This wouldn't be a Kevin Smith movie without a few cameos from people from the VSQ universe and people who are friends with Kevin Smith. And we see several people pop up. SNL alumni. Ben Affleck came in as Boston John. Who else? And Practical Jokers came out. Any guy that was ever involved in Comic Book Men was there. Like, that's why I tell you, like, Kevin Smith always reminds me of the guy that was never supposed to be invited to the party, and yet he was always there. But yeah, like, it's just funny to see, like, how many friends he has that will come back. And I'm glad that he reconciled with Ben Affleck, because for a good amount of time they weren't talking. So it's nice to see that friendship come back. So yeah, just based on the acting of these three actors, I thought they did amazing in this fucking movie. The story was something I wasn't really expecting. And it's a real gut punch, especially for a few of the characters. The story I thought was really taken care of. It was something that you could tell that he wanted to get right, and he did a really great job at doing that. The story was really well done. The ending, as a Kevin Smith fan, as a Clerks fan, you're just like, wow. Like, that's it. It's finally over. Clerks 3. This is the end. But the ending was it was good if you're a Clerks fan. I really do think that if you're a Clerks fan, you will enjoy the ending. So now if I had to rate this movie for me, I loved everything about it. I would say for me 5 out of 5. It was definitely a great send off to these characters that were born when I was born, because Clerks 1 came out in 1994. I was born in 1994, so it's crazy to see these characters grow up from the time I grew up to now. And yeah, I would definitely give this movie a 5 out of 5. I know I was really vague with this movie, but it's because I really don't want to spoil it for anyone, and I really want them to see it. Since it's a Fathom event movie, it won't be out as long as other movies, so please just try to check it out wherever you can. But yeah, that's my review for this movie. I feel like that was a good vague review. We are the Rollback Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Please check us out wherever you get your podcast needs. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Google, anywhere. We are there. We put out videos and audio podcasts every Wednesday and Saturday. I just put up a new one of Barbarian on the YouTube channel of a live and in color video of me. And then we're going to put this one out. But, yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fernando from the Rollback Podcast, and this was your review of Clerks 3. Let's cut it.